Well, hey, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on the Daily Brew. It's a special day here. Our producers put this in here. It wasn't me, guys.
Well, maybe Jacob should read it then.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to shout out 2 anniversaries here at 5 News. First,
and 2 Tiffany's.
2 Tiffany's. So we have producer Tiffany in the back. She is
celebrating 1 year today.
Let's go,
1 year.
Tiffany.
Isn't that awesome? Yes.
She's a morning producer here. Always makes us feel comfortable. She's one of the best.
Oh, yeah,
Thanks,
one of the
Tiffany.
best.
And on the weekends when we work the weekends. So thanks, Tiffany. And then Tiffany Lee.
6 years.
6 years
Wow.
here at 5 News.
Flown by. It's been great. I'm so thankful to have been here, started my career here. I've made my life here, met my husband here, and I get to share your stories, which is the best part. Okay, well, speaking of stories, we'll go ahead and move on. 2 roads buckled as a heat wave impacted Missouri. Now, we've been talking about the heat, Danny.
Yes.
But have you ever seen something like this? This road just buckled. It rose over 18 inches, sending a car airborne. Like, this is its Tony Hawk moment right there.
That's what I was going to say. Like, it landed it pretty smoothly. So we talked about this earlier this morning and just kind of going into, like, maybe thinking, okay, why does this happen? So in a lot of areas that have very rapidly changing climates. So a good majority of the country, like in Missouri, but especially in the upper Midwest, where this also happened in Minnesota and Iowa, I saw, among other states. So when you put on slabs of concrete or asphalt, you put it in like sections and you leave kind of cracks or crevices to allow it to contract or compress. And so when it's hot, it's really hot, the molecules inside that concrete or asphalt, they get really excited. They kind of move around, jump around, and then they expand. Well, when it gets really hot, abnormally hot, and the concrete or asphalt might be a little bit older, then these slabs kind of run into each other, and kind of like tectonic plates, how mountains form, they run into each other and they have nowhere to go but up, and that's why you see that kind of ramp figured and kind of how like evenly distributed up. So that's why that happened, and like I said, I'm glad the car looks mostly okay.
I was gonna say, people were flying over that. Did they not see? Because I saw the cone was there, so I was hoping that.
I wonder if, like, let's say you're driving, right, and you kind of see
You
it,
might
right?
not see it. You might just think it's a little bump.
Right, and you might see, like, you know, like the little, what's it called? Like the optical illusion, like that there's like heat
for
on the
sure.
road. So maybe you're just kind of like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then all of a sudden you just kind of go over.
Well, I just, too, like, they saw that car kind of fly, so the people after it went slower. But if no one's in front of you, you really don't know it's coming. You see a bump, you slow down maybe a little bit. But
Yeah.
I think this is different than expected. I want to know if the car's okay. It didn't look like it was too damaged, which made me feel better about all the movies when you have, like, the Toyota Camry, like, flying in the air and then it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe it's true.
Yeah, and like I said, the ramp was like almost perfect for it to kind of jump off. And like you said, the Tony Hawk reminded me of my old Tony Hawk days, just going over it. So hopefully it's okay. But yeah, a lot of that unfortunately has been happening across the country just because it's been abnormally hot. And again, some of those roads, especially well traveled, you add that friction of the tires too to add on the heat. And sometimes that'll happen.
And you mentioned a truck might not have even noticed it was there.
A truck might have just
I was
would have
saying,
been a
it's
little
been so
bump.
elevated,
Like,
yeah,
what
like, oh. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that was in Missouri, I believe, right?
Yes.
So it was that hot?
Yeah, so-
Does it take much?
So yeah, again, it has to do with maybe sometimes the age of the road, but yeah, temperatures are in the 90s pretty consistently, and again, it's well traveled, and yeah, that's all it can take.
And then
All
will
right,
it just
well,
will it
take
just
slow
drop?
on the well-traveled roads, right?
And then last question. Sorry, I was just trying to.
No, you're good.
Will it just drop?
I think if it gets cool enough, it will. But I think since it's just so hot, it's gonna probably stay there. You notice kind of the ground uplifted too a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a living, breathing road.
I was gonna say yeah.
It's just a ramp at
yeah.
this point.
So yeah, it'll probably stay there, and they'll probably have to again get crews out and probably do construction on that road.
I just wonder, like, will it fix the problem? I mean, right now, or is it so hot they kind of need to wait?
So I think they might just kind of block it off for a while and then wait a little bit. So the construction part of it, I don't know. But I can only speak on behalf of the scientific reasoning. Just because by the time winter comes around, then it's going to shrink, and then you kind of need that road. It's kind of like similar to potholes. So potholes form kind of the same
Gotcha.
deal when the temperature changes so quickly.
This is summer potholes.
Yes, basically summer
Summer
potholes.
ramps.
Summer ramps, exactly.
Yeah.
So they might wait a little bit, but especially in Missouri with winter, it'll be just around the corner. They're going to probably have to get on that pretty quickly.
All right, well, good to know. Glad we
Yeah.
have a scientist here with
Yeah,
us.
I try.
All right, well, starting at 10 in OKC, they're going to have a parade for the latest NBA champs. A lot of people here excited. This is the first time that they've won it for Oklahoma They're expecting a huge turnout, expecting to attract more than 500,000 people. I bet with school being out too and it being summer, you're going to have so many more people out there. But even if school was in session, I feel like they would have let them out for this,
I was going to say, yeah, cities in the past, they've definitely canceled school. They want everyone to be there to celebrate.
Yeah, well, as the team was doing well, law enforcement, they started planning this. They've been planning for weeks. National Guard will help in on the, safety aspect of it as well. And the rules are no drones, no fireworks, or grills. So I guess if you plan on tailgating out at the parade, no grills allowed.
Darn.
And again, this was a historic win for the Thunder. Yeah. Everyone there is ecstatic. We've got people here that are ecstatic too. We've got 2 hometown boys. We've got Jalen Williams and Isaiah Joe. They went to Northside High in Fort Smith. They played together there. They've been playing together since middle school. Then they were Razorbacks together, and now they're in OKC. What a friendship. Derek Joe, Isaiah's father, shared a heartfelt hug with him after, and they cried together on the court, he said.
Yeah. Well, it's just, especially for, those guys, they've been doing it since, they've been playing since 6, 7 years old, and you put hours and hours as, we all know as athletes, you got to put in so much work, or just anything you do. You put so many hours of dedication, and this is your almost your shining moment to get it all done. And just to have it done, it's like you just feel emotional afterwards. It's like it's finally come to not an end, but like my ultimate goal has been achieved.
Yeah, I mean, you've been through everything together, right? You had that dream together as like 12-year-old boys, and now you're grown men with an NBA championship. Yeah. How cool is that?
And especially for Fort Smith to be able to see that, to be able to see kind of 2 hometown boys be able to win a championship. But no, a huge win for the Thunder. I mean, they've gotten close so many times. This would have been heartbreaking if they got there again and weren't able to do it. But I know that city has been wanting this title for a long time, and so congratulations to them.
Yeah.
They were able to do
I'm sure a lot of people from here are going to go make it for that parade. And too, just think about the inspiration that Jalen and Isaiah are for all of the kids here to see it be achieved, right? And they are guys who have come back and done hometown camps, and so it's just they're really impacting the community with this win.
It definitely makes an impact. I mean, when I worked in Iowa, obviously Caitlin Clark was the talk of the whole country, still is. But we were already seeing just a year or 2 after she left Iowa, girls were like, "I want to be Caitlin when I'm older." Like it makes
signing up for basketball.
Yes, it makes an impact. So to see Jalen and Isaiah, local guys, make it to the NBA, win that championship, and young kids at home are saying like, yeah, that could be me.
And even play for the Razorbacks. I think that in itself was inspirational to a lot of them.
That's hard enough to get to a D1 sport, let alone the NBA. So yeah, it's awesome to see local guys make it and win. So very happy for them.
It's going to be exciting when they get to come home and celebrate with all of their hometown crowd, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, speaking of sports, diehard sports fans' brains, this is what they're saying, are wired different.
Definitely could see that.
According to a recent study, it found passionate fans process games differently. I also agree with that, showing more brain activity and regions tied to personal relevance and even evaluative thinking. And I think you can see that. Like, people get really into their game, maybe not care as much for others, but this is especially true during subtle strategic moments like offensive face-offs. Even when no goals are scored, fans' brains stay highly engaged, suggesting that they interpret more meaning from gameplay events.
I was going to say that I think less scoring would actually make me more involved, because then I'm like, you're getting more tense. You're thinking about it more. You're waiting for something to happen. You're trying to figure out why nothing's happening. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, they're saying that they found significant differences in brain activity, especially around the emotion side of it, which reinforces the idea that emotional investment in sports changes how we look at a game. And I will agree with that. Like, when pro football is on in my house, I don't mind pro football, but I would rather honestly watch the cheerleaders in the football game when it comes to that. And so I'm like, oh yeah, great win, during the Super Bowl. More excited about the Super Bowl performance. But a Razorback football game, I'm invested. I'm into that. I care a lot more. Yeah. I get more into it. I'll find myself and so it is, I can see how that makes sense.
Yeah, and especially because, if you're invested in that team, a win or loss is going to really change your mood.
Or it feels great.
Yeah, especially the less games they play, right? So football, so let's say, the Razorbacks, let's say they win, you're elated. And when I worked on the weekends in Iowa, it was like, those weekend shifts, you have those college football games, NFL games. I'd work the shift, the Vikings would lose, and I'd be professional and keep it professional.
But you were sad.
But inside, you're sad, you're a little bit down. It's like, unfortunately, when Arkansas lost, the College World Series, it's going to take an impact on you.
I'm still recovering.
I was going to say, it's going to take more than even a day. So, especially if you're dedicated, you can put it aside, or at least appear to put it aside. But deep down, sometimes it takes a while.
Well, and when you care about a team, you care about the players and the
Absolutely.
coaches, right? Because you feel like you know them because you followed along, you've heard their stories, you're kind of like invested in them as a fan of them. And so it does hurt to see them sad. Like those were the parts that were the hardest, I feel like, of the Hogs losing, was seeing how Coach Van Horn, the other coaches, and the players reacted after the loss.
Yeah, and I just think like, you know, a lot of people are like, well, it's just a sport. They don't care about you. They don't know about you. But it's like at the same time, it's like when you see these top athletes competing the way they do, it's like, yeah, they do care, obviously. Like, and then that makes you want to care for them more. And so, no, you're absolutely right. I've had some bad moments I've had some heartbreaking moments as a young fan, and I did cry a couple times, and I try not to get as invested now, but there's some things you can't.
sometimes.
It's very hard. I was going to say, I've been there, Jacob. A couple of Vikings moments. It's just, some tears are shed. It just happens.
Yeah.
You get there, you know, it happens. Okay, well, let's talk about happier. We're getting sad.
Yes,
talking
there we
about
go. I like that.
Chick-fil-A makes everyone happy, right? Okay, well, there is an inflatable boat that it's taking service to the next level in Florida when it comes to Chick-fil-A. As if it wasn't enough when they say my pleasure and they give you the extra sauces and they do all these things. Oh no, now you can order your Chick-fil-A and they'll deliver it to you on this inflatable boat if you're out in the water on a raft or out on a boat yourself. So it's part of their Chick-fil-A there. And so if you're tired of seafood, here's your option right here.
It's
Get the
delivered
chicken delivered.
straight to you on your beach boat. So hold on, do you think the taste is different?
No, why would it be different?
If anything, I think it tastes better.
Because I was thinking like
Everything
is it-
tastes better on the water,
true. That is very
especially
true.
fried chicken.
That is very true. I'm just trying to think because, like, is it just sitting on the boat? Like, is it wrapped? Like, I just want to make sure.
I bet it's fresh. I would bet what they do is they get a certain amount of orders, probably in like a 15-minute period, and they pack them all up. They go out on the boat. It's probably close to the beach, I would assume.
I understand.
The Chick-fil-A campus.
I understand.
To be able to like hop on there, and I mean it's warm outside, so I'm sure the food's still warm.
Okay, so it's 1 p.m. You're on a boat, and
Yeah.
you're ordering. Your friend's like, okay, let's order something. What are we getting? What are we getting on the boat?
Ooh, probably okay.
From Chick-fil-A?
From
Have y'all
Chick-fil-A,
ever
from-
had like fried chicken tenders on a boat? Like, yeah, that's the way to go. Like, I'm getting the chicken
With some
tenders
bar-
from Chick-fil-A, maybe even a milkshake and some fries.
A milkshake on a boat?
Yeah,
Yeah,
ice cream.
I would do that.
It's hot.
Especially if it was
I
hot.
feel
I
like
would.
more like a lemonade.
Lemonade. Oh,
Okay,
that's
well,
true.
I would go with the milkshake route. I'm
right,
not a
Jake-
lemonade fan. though.
Jacob, what are you getting then?
I am getting on the boat. I would say
Health out the window. You're on
Okay,
the
fine.
boat.
I'm not doing grilled nuggets. Fine. A Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich, a large fry, and a Coke
There you go. Not a lemonade?
with Chick-fil-A sauce and honey mustard.
There you go. I like it.
That's what I'm doing.
I think we need to find a boat. We need to get
I was
some
going
Chick-fil-A.
to say, we don't really have any ocean front there like they do in Destin, but maybe on a lake somewhere.
Maybe on a
Yeah,
lake.
come on. Let's start that delivery on
Yeah.
Beaver Lake,
I
right?
like that.
All right, perfect. Well, speaking of the beach, there is a dog library in a beach town in Maine, not in Florida, but it provides free toys for pets and an opportunity to make connections between other dog people. I mean, we've seen these neighborhood libraries, right? These corner
I love
libraries where
this.
you put a book in, someone can grab one, put another book out. Well, instead of that, I mean, we're talking about shelves stocked with sticks, balls, normal things a dog would check out from a library. Like that.
I love this.
And they look so happy.
They're so happy because they get a new toy, right? And they're getting to meet other dogs in the meantime. And so I think this is really fun. And so many times, like, you know, you're taking your dog out to the beach or around, they might lose that favorite toy or, you know, and so you're not having to worry about it as much because you're getting it from there. And this is probably the toy that they'll keep up with that you didn't buy.
And no different than people. There's some dogs that might be more studious, right, than others, and
Yeah.
they're going for ropes and squeaky toys, maybe instead of
ball.
the tennis balls or something like
But
that.
maybe those are just athletes. You know, we were all different students in life. I was not one to go for the books in the library. So I was
on,
there
Tiffany.
to be social at the library. And that's why I'm in this job, because I like to talk.
Yeah, and I just noticed, like, you're right. Like the dogs almost look like they're smiling. Like
Oh.
out
They
there. Like
are.
they look like they are having.
Tongue out,
Yeah.
living their best life.
Yeah, and you know when they're, like, let's say they go back, right? When they're driving back, they'll still start to get that sensation, like, oh, we're back. We're so back, and they get super excited. I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, on another note, Jacob, are you yelling four when you go?
I do. My brother
You
gets
do?
mad at me because sometimes,
Jacob's a big golfer.
you know, I always yell four, but sometimes it's embarrassing when you think you're hitting a 270, 300-yard drive, and you're like four, and then it goes like 150. You're like, okay, I didn't need to yell that, but you
But
know,
it's better to be safe than
it
sorry.
is always better to be safe than sorry.
And this is why. Okay, so This is an HOA neighborhood, and over the past 30 days, a resident has collected up to 30 golf balls in their yard from a nearby golf course. You can see some of the damage on their car there.
Looks like hail,
They
yeah.
break windows out. I mean, they plink against garage doors and cars, and some truck windows have even been broken out. And this has been going on for years.
I think about it every single time I go golfing.
Yeah, that's
about,
stressful.
I know a lot of people love the idea of living right on a course.
Absolutely
they love the
not.
idea of being able to watch people, going by, maybe even, get on the course themselves after the course closes and stuff. But
So
this
scary.
is always, I've been to places where I've been to golf courses where houses will have these metal awnings that they'll drop down in front of their windows
to protect
just to
them.
do that, or they'll have big nets in their backyard, or they'll have massive trees or shrubs to protect their windows, and you can see why when you see those images. But
Yeah.
when I saw when you mentioned how many golf balls that guy had in his backyard, I went to play a course once. He had those candy machines where you put a quarter in.
Oh,
he
it
had it
was-
with golf balls.
There you go.
So he was making money. You put a quarter
Oh.
in, you get a twist it, and you get a golf ball because chances are if you're hitting it over there, you probably lost it. So
Yeah, that's so true. Well, I think when it comes to a golf course, it's all about location, right? Where you're going to live. You can't be on the holes where people always mess up and are
Yeah.
going. Like, there are different areas that you can live in. I feel like a little off the golf course is the best.
Yeah.
And too, you don't want to walk. For me, I don't want to walk out in my backyard and everyone sees me. Like,
Yeah.
hey, what's up? I'm just back here grilling, cooking dinner.
Good thing about this one, no one was hurt, but still, I mean, you take a risk when you live on a golf course. It's
Yeah,
just
I-
For sure.
It-
You
it
love
co-
the game if
you-
you're living on a golf course,
yeah, you
right?
love it. You probably like seeing the people. You probably like being just being there and stuff. So yeah,
It happens to anyone. It's kind of fun. We were at a golf tournament and at Pinnacle Hills that my husband was playing in, and a guy we were watching hit a golf ball into one of the Arkansas coaches' backyard, and the Arkansas coach was just out there trying to find the golf balls and throw them back out, and it's like it happens to everyone,
Yes.
right?
yeah. Well, I'm trying to get the game better, but I definitely have seen a few go into some places.
I
You know
was-
what? We all have, and that's okay.
Yeah, it happens to everyone. And if you're going to go out golfing today, it's going to be pretty nice. Maybe a couple isolated storms here and there.
Get the electrolytes.
Yeah, get the electrolytes. I was going to say, because golf games, I say, well, how long do you think an 18-hole game would take you?
Depends how good you are.
Yeah, it depends how good you are. But the course usually has like a 3.5, 4 hours.
Sure.
They will always give you like a time to be
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, so 4 hours, especially during the peak heat in the day. I know I'm sure like tee times are probably really common at 8, 9 a.m. just to get it out of the way, get out of that sun. And so, yeah, again, just be mindful if you're hitting the course and maybe don't slice into people's yards if you can't. I know I would. I have a massive slice, so maybe Jacob, you could teach me a couple of things. Anyway, high temperatures for today in the low 90s for northwest Arkansas. Again, could see some isolated, those popcorn kernel storms I've been talking about. Very hit or miss, not expected to be severe, but could have downpours for about 20 minutes and they dissipate. Tomorrow, same thing. The Ozarks, Rodeo of the Ozarks Parade in Springdale will be dry, but we'll have that afternoon chance. And similarly, they'll lead into next week. Monday, though, does look like we could start a little bit more of an active pattern into July, because again, this full 7-day forecast will be the last one for the whole month of June. And then starting Tuesday or tomorrow, we'll have Tuesday on there, which will be the first day of July. River Valley there, same thing. Again, isolated storm chance during the afternoons for today and tomorrow. And then we'll see pretty dry conditions, but also the heat not going away anytime soon. That peak heat index is about 90 to 100, with some areas in the River Valley getting up to 105.
All right, so it's going to be a hot day. So just remember that when you go outside and wear the sunscreen. I did not do that yesterday, and I am burnt.
SPF 50, come on,
That's
Tiffany.
right, maybe 100 with that UV index. All right, well, have a great day. We'll see you back here on the Daily Brew tomorrow at 7 a.m. See you then.